Hi, I'm Charles with AniCap. Previously, Mofan was somehow able to awaken the rare fire and even more rare lightning talents, but had decided to keep that a secret. When faced with impossible odds at winning a duel, Mofan finally revealed his two talents to everyone in order to win. After training in the Sacred Spring, he returned to the city to find that it was in chaos. The story continues as we see Bai's group arrive at the gymnasium and reunite with the other survivors. Faculty members discuss how they are not completely safe there, but don't have many options since nowhere is safe. It is a level 4 disaster and the capital has fallen. One man remembers that the safe zone is protected by a barrier and warns that staying at the school will only result in their eventual death. Someone points out that if they leave in a large group they will surely be spotted, but if it were just the teachers then they would at least have a chance. Mr. Sheng explains that it is their duty to protect the students, but the others think that doesn't matter in times of desperation. Their solution is to have a small team scout ahead as the rest follow, and decide to find volunteers among their strongest students. Zoe decides to volunteer, and we see that Zhang worries about how dangerous joining the scouting group would be. However, Mofan explains that it is far more dangerous to be with the main group, since its large number of students will surely attract several monsters. The large majority of them are weak and would not be able to put up a fight, so they decide to join the scouting group as well. Everyone is relieved to see the heroic Mofan, and Zhang must get a reality check when he thinks they are admiring him. Elsewhere, Lin struggles to fight a monster when she is rescued by Yanzo, and they discuss how it is obvious that the monsters are the doing of Black Curia. They are unsure of the group's ultimate goal, but know that they are after the Sacred Spring. She explains that she successfully extracted the spring and has entrusted it to Mofan. He believes she made the right decision since no one would expect the student to have the spring, but Mofan isn't a mid-tier mage yet and will have a difficult time surviving the attack on the city. They then split up to find Mofan. Elsewhere, Mizao and Ningsu arrive at the safe zone with its protective barrier, and she asks if any students from Sky Magic High School have arrived. They take her father to get care and explain that no students are there, which grows her concern for Mofan. The scout team makes their way through the city and spread out to get a better view. Zhang spots a Cyclops as it feeds, but is shocked to find that it has disappeared in an instant. They can't just leave it be and decide to hunt it. Wind mages have incredible speed, so Mr. Sheng asks that they take the lead. Zhang is one of them, and Yuhei expresses her concern for him. Her concern was misplaced though, as the other wind mage is the one that gets struck down by the monster. A Cyclops appears behind Yuhei, but Mofan manages to stun it, and Mr. Sheng finishes it off. They are in disbelief at how quickly one of them has died, and Mr. Sheng explains it was his fault for not noticing the monster, but Mofan says that it was simply because they were too weak. Mr. Sheng would like to know how Mofan managed to remain calm throughout the encounter, and he explains it's because he had joined the monster hunters his sophomore year. However, even after 2 years of fighting, he is still scared in certain situations. Zhang returns to report that there are 3 one-eyed wolves in the area, and one of the students is glad to hear there are so few. However, Mofan explains that the wolves are far stronger than the Cyclops. Mofan comes up with a plan where Zhang will have to distract one of the wolves. He explains that they are fast in straight lines, but slow down when moving in different directions, so he can evade it if he predicts its movements. The second wolf will be taken by Bai, who will try to trap it with his ice. The rest of the group will attempt to kill the final wolf quickly, and finish the other 2 afterwards. Mofan explains with their combined talents they will surely be able to defeat the monsters, and everyone agrees to follow his orders. They then begin to execute his plan. Zhang attempts to sneak up on one of the wolves as he remembers Mofan's instructions. He reminds himself to be brave like Mofan and thinks about how he will approach the monster, making sure to run in different directions as it chases him. He freezes for a moment when eye contact is made with the horrific beast, but snaps out of it just in time. His magic talent serves him well as he manages to avoid its attacks, however that doesn't last long as Zhang is struck. He realizes that the beast was using the trees to change direction, but can't think for long as the relentless attack continues. After managing to stun it for a moment, Zhang realizes just how much of a difference in their strength there is, and wishes for someone to come help him. He is able to come out of that mindset however, reminding himself that no one is coming, and he must do his job so that it won't go after Mofan and the others. He comes up with a plan just as the monster approaches, and for the first time ever uses level 3 wind magic to evade its attack. The monster seems much slower to him now, and with some newfound confidence he turns to face the beast. He manages to trick it, watching as it kills itself and realizing that they aren't as scary as he thought they'd be. In the forest, we see that the wolf Bai is meant to fight simply walks over his ice magic, and he realizes that he won't be able to freeze it for very long. He decides that they must inform the others, and his partner asks that the two of them just abandon the group, but Bai explains that they have no chance of surviving without the others. We see that the rest of the group is managing to hold a wolf when Zhang arrives in desperate need of medical assistance. Bai then arrives, but is being closely followed by the other wolf, who is closing the gap quickly. Mofan leaves the half-dead wolf to the rest of the group and lends a hand to Bai. He uses his amazing combination of fire and lightning magic to not only stop it, but defeat it as well. Bai can't help but wonder, when exactly did Mofan become so powerful? Elsewhere, Mofan's father must stop his quest to find Mofan when he gets a flat tire. He fears monsters might appear while fixing the tire alone, and Muhei says that is why he should hurry up. Sing struggles and asks that Muhei help him, but is surprised to see that he has disappeared. The scout team is amazed that they were able to defeat 3 one-eyed wolves and credit Mofan's orders for their victory. Humble as usual, Mofan explains that he was only able to safely defeat the final wolf alone because Bai's magic has slowed it down. He explains to everyone that teamwork is more important than anything, and each talent serves a purpose. Of the 2 types of monsters they are fighting, the Cyclops is the easiest, but the wolves are much more savage and cunning, making them extremely difficult to kill. Bai explains that he already knows that, and Mofan tells him that his talent is most important of all. He reminds him that his talent is to be used to protect everyone, but Bai's friend says that he should be fending for himself. Mofan shows his growth as he puts the person who had always bullied him in his place. He then tells Yuhei to work with Mr. Shang, and she expresses doubt as she blames herself for not protecting their killed teammate. Zhang once again encourages her to have more confidence, but then loses consciousness. His wound won't stop bleeding, and Mr. Shang explains that it's due to the monster's special attack. Bandages and even burning of the wound won't stop the bleeding either. The only thing that will stop the bleeding is special medication, and in that moment, Mr. Shang remembers that a pharmacy is nearby. They must hurry to the safe zone, so Mofan tells him to go ahead while he goes to get the medication, but Zhang waits for a moment to ask that he not risk his life for him. Mofan explains that they need him to get better so that he can lead the group with his wind talent, and that he won't take long. While Mofan makes his way to the pharmacy, one of the team members uses wave detection to determine that there aren't any monsters nearby. Zhang reveals he is in quite a bit of pain, but is confident Mofan will return soon. The silence makes them all a bit weary, so they proceed with extra caution. Zhang explains that in the wilderness, silence is usually a sign of danger. Zhou can't understand why they are so worried since there are no sounds of footsteps from monsters, and the wave detection didn't reveal any either. However, Bai senses something and reveals to them a monster they haven't seen before. Bai explains that it is the warrior level thorn-faced wolf. Elsewhere, we see that Lin is in trouble after rescuing a boy, but is saved when another member of the military arrives. She recognizes him as Instructor Yang, and he explains that the post at the border has been abandoned. He is now on his way to Sky Magic High School to protect the student. She acknowledges how he is able to move freely since he is on his wolf, and decides to hand the matter of searching and protecting Mofan to the military. Her responsibility now will be to act as a distraction for the Black Curia, since they most likely believe she has the sacred spring. Mofan finally arrives at the pharmacy. He vows to not let Zhang die, as he has a fond memory of how Zhang had talked about wanting to attend a good university, and eventually moving to a bigger city where he could do more meaningful things. He plans to work hard though so that he won't be left behind by Mofan, and Mofan expresses his excitement since a bigger city means more beautiful women. Bai explains to the team that there are different levels of monsters. The lowest are the slaves, next are the warriors, and finally the commanders. The ones they have fought have all been slaves, but the warrior level ones are known as mage killers. They stand absolutely no chance against a warrior level monster in front of them, since they will simply freeze if they look into its eyes, and Zhang wonders if Mofan might encounter one as well. Mofan finds a monster hiding in the pharmacy, but is relieved to see that he has found the medicine needed to treat Zhang. The rat ends up outside, and Mofan watches as it gets devoured by the much larger thorn-faced wolf. He thinks about how he has never encountered a warrior level monster, and realizes that it must have been so quiet because the other monsters were all hiding from it. He then freezes as he stares into the eyes of the warrior level monster, and it crushes the entire building. Bai decides that they need to hurry, but Zhou says they should slow down a bit for Mofan. He explains that Mofan is likely already dead, and those who are alive must move forward. The others agree, saying there is no need for them to die as well, and that them reaching the safe zone is what Mofan would have wanted. Just then, Mofan emerges from the sewers, revealing the medication and explaining that the risk was definitely worth it. Zhang is healed instantly and thanks Mofan. Further back, the main group is surprised to see how well the scout team was doing, but are shocked to find their fallen teammate. They acknowledge the sacrifice the scout team is making and express optimism in the success of their journey. For a moment, we get a glimpse into just how bad the city is getting when we are shown a commander level monster. The scout team have almost reached the safe zone and relax a bit, since the closer they get, the safer their surroundings are. Mofan stares at the sacred spring and thinks about how close he is to completing the mission. They encounter another monster but are relieved to see that it is Instructor Yang. They explain how they are the scouting team and have a main group that follows them. Happy to see someone from the military, they ask that he escort them the rest of the way. He doesn't respond though and explains that he had actually been looking for Mofan. Mofan can't understand why, and Yang tells him to give him the sacred spring. It is extremely important, he says, and the Black Curia can never be allowed to have it, but it will be safe with the military. However, Mofan is a bit skeptical and explains that it is safe with him as well. Mofan would like to give it to Officer Kong himself and asks Yang to lead the way. However, Yang shows his true self when he reveals that he has killed several people on his way there, and Mofan is next if he doesn't give him the sacred spring. Thanks for watching part 6. 10,000 likes to let me know you want to continue this series and I'll make a part 7.